The moment Lana pushed open the door to the private room, time seemed to stand still. Charles had Vivian pinned beneath him on the sofa, their clothes in disarray, their lips and teeth intertwined in a passionate embrace. Vivian's hands clutched tightly at Charles's shirt, her breaths coming in suggestive gasps. "Charles, tomorrow is your engagement party," Vivian said, feigning shyness as she pushed against his chest. "It's just an engagement, not a marriage," Charles whispered, nibbling her ear. "Vivian, you know I love you." The engagement ring box slipped from Lana's hand and fell to the floor with a crisp sound. The two immediately separated, and Charles's face turned deathly pale in an instant. "Lana, let me explain." "Explain what?" Lana's voice was eerily calm. "Explain what you were just doing. Or explain that tomorrow's engagement party is a joke." Vivian adjusted her disheveled skirt, a triumphant smile on her face. "Cousin, since you've caught us, I won't pretend anymore." She stood up and walked over to Lana, deliberately arching her belly. "I'm pregnant with Charles's child." Lana's world crumbled around her. She looked at Vivian's slightly protruding belly, then at Charles's panicked expression, and everything became clear. "How long have you two been together?" Lana asked. 3 months, Vivian said without hiding anything. "Since the day you introduced me to Charles." Lana recalled 3 months ago when she kindly introduced her cousin, who had just returned from abroad, to Charles, hoping he could help arrange a job for her. Little did she know, she had personally led the wolf into the sheepfold. "Lana, it's not what you think," Charles hurried towards her. "Vivian and I were just." "Just what?" "Just fooling around?" Lana sneered. "And the child, was that also just from fooling around?" Charles was left speechless. Vivian walked to Charles's side and intimately linked her arm with his. "Cousin, I know this is cruel to you, but Charles and I truly love each other." "Love each other?" Lana found the word particularly jarring. "Then what am I?" "You're a good girl, but you're not right for Charles," Vivian said, feigning innocence. "He needs a woman who understands him, not a control freak who questions his every move." Lana looked deeply into Charles's eyes. "Is that what you think too?" Charles avoided her gaze and remained silent. That silence was more cruel than any words. Lana bent down to pick up the ring box from the floor and slowly stood up. "Lana, what are you doing?" Charles finally spoke. "Here, take it back," Lana said, shoving the ring box into Charles's hand. "Since she's carrying your child, give this ring to her." With that, she turned and walked toward the door. "Lana." Charles tried to follow her. "Don't go after her," Vivian held him back. "She's angry right now, let her cool off." Lana walked out of the room without looking back, only allowing tears to fall once the elevator doors closed. Tomorrow was her engagement party with Charles, with all their friends and family attending. How could she face it? The elevator reached the first floor, and Lana stepped out of the hotel, the night wind biting her face with its chill. She took out her phone and called her best friend Linda. "Lana? What's wrong so late?" "Linda, tomorrow's engagement party is cancelled," Lana said, her voice choking. "What? What happened?" "Charles cheated on me with my cousin, and she's pregnant." A chair clattered to the floor on Linda's end. "What? That bastard?" "I'm coming to you right now." "No need, I want to be alone for a while." "Lana, please don't do anything foolish." "I won't," Lana said, gazing at the distant neon lights. "I've just realized something." "What?" "Loving the wrong person can truly kill you." After hanging up, Lana stood on the street for a long time. 3 years of love and a year of engagement preparations, all the beautiful memories shattered tonight. She recalled Charles's words, his promises of a future, the houses they viewed together, the life they planned. It was all a lie. Lana took out her phone and posted on Facebook, "Thank you all for your blessings, but tomorrow's engagement party is cancelled." Soon, her phone buzzed incessantly with calls and messages. Lana turned off her phone and took a taxi home. The next morning, she was awakened by a knock at the door. Opening it, she saw her furious mother. Lana, what did that Facebook post last night mean? Lana led her mother inside and recounted everything from the previous night in detail. After hearing it, her mother slammed the table in anger. That Charles I completely misjudged him. Mom, I want to leave this place, Lana said. Where to? To Beijing. My teacher recommended a design firm. Her mother took her hand. Lana, don't ruin your life over a jerk. I'm not ruining it, I'm saving it. As Lana began packing her bags, Charles arrived. He stood at the door with a bouquet of red roses, dark circles under his eyes. Lana, let's talk. There's nothing to talk about, Lana said, continuing to stuff clothes into her suitcase. Charles stepped inside, eyeing the scattered luggage. Where are you going? What's it to you? Of course it's my business, you're my fiancé. Lana spun around. Fiancé? Charles, do you even remember what you were doing last night? Charles placed the flowers on the table. I can explain what happened last night. Explain what? That you slept with my cousin? Or that she's carrying your child? The child. Charles hesitated. What about the child? It's not yours? Lana sneered. Or are you going to say it was an accident? Charles was silent for a long time before saying, it's mine. Those 3 words stabbed Lana's heart like a knife. She had clung to a sliver of hope that Vivian was lying, that Charles would deny it, but he admitted it himself. Since it's your child, take good care of her and the baby, Lana said, turning back to her packing. Our relationship ends here. Lana, I can't lose you, Charles said, hugging her from behind. Vivian was just a mistake, I love you. Lana broke free of his embrace. A mistake? A 3-month mistake? I admit I messed up, but I can change, Charles pleaded. I'll handle Vivian and take responsibility for the child, but I can't live without you. Handle it how? Make her get rid of the baby? If you mind. Charles. Lana stared at him in shock. That's a life. I know, but... You're truly selfish, Lana said, shaking her head. You want to save face by marrying me, enjoy the thrill of cheating, and now have her abort the child to win me back. Have you ever considered that I don't want someone like you? Charles flushed with embarrassment. Then what do you want me to do? Marry her, take care of her, be a responsible man, Lana said, zipping up her suitcase. As for me, just pretend I never existed. I don't agree to break up, Charles said, blocking the door. You're not going anywhere. You don't agree? Lana laughed at his audacity. Charles, a breakup doesn't require your consent. She took out her phone and called Vivian in front of Charles. Cousin, congratulations, Charles is yours now. Take good care of the baby. Vivian's triumphant laughter came through. Thank you, cousin, for making it possible. After hanging up, Lana said to Charles, see? Your true love is waiting for you to take care of her. Charles's face darkened. Lana, don't push me. Push you to do what? To be human? Lana shoved him aside. Move, I'm leaving. If you leave, I'll die right in front of you. Lana paused and looked back at him. Charles, do you really think that line will work? I'm serious. Then go ahead and die, Lana said nonchalantly. To me, you're already dead. With that, she left, dragging her suitcase without looking back. Charles stood frozen, staring at the closed door, unable to process it for a long time. Lana was really gone. He wanted to chase after her, but his feet felt like lead. The room still carried Lana's perfume scent, and the red roses on the table stood out painfully. Charles grabbed the flowers and threw them to the ground. Petals scattered everywhere, like his broken heart. Only at that moment did he realize what he'd lost. Lana was truly leaving him not out of spite, not as a threat, but to vanish from his life forever. Charles took out his phone to call Lana, but it was off. He called Linda instead. You have the nerve to call? Linda's voice was full of rage. Linda, Please tell me where Lana is. Charles, are you out of your mind? Messing around with another woman last night and looking for Lana today? I know I messed up, I want to fix it. Fix it? What makes you think you deserve a chance? Linda sneered. I'll tell you this, Lana's gone, far away, and you'll never find her in this lifetime. What? Where did she go? That's none of your business. Linda, please, I really know I was wrong, Charles said, his voice breaking. I can't live without Lana. Then go die, Linda said mercilessly before hanging up. Charles held the phone, trembling all over. He had truly lost Lana. A month later, in Beijing, Lana sat in the design firm's office, focused on her blueprints. It was her third project since arriving at 200-square-meter villa renovation. Lana, someone's here for you, her colleague Xiao Wang said from the door. Lana looked up and saw an unfamiliar woman standing there, dressed in a Chanel suit and carrying a Hermes bag, clearly wealthy. Who are you? I'm Vivian, the woman said, stepping into the office. Your cousin. Lana's hand trembled, and her pencil scratched a long mark across the blueprint. How did you find me here? Money can find anything, Vivian said, sitting down and deliberately touching her noticeably pregnant belly. Cousin, let's talk. Lana put down her pencil. What's there to talk about? About Charles. What's wrong with him? He's gone crazy, Vivian said with frustration. Ever since you left, he's been searching for you like a madman, ignoring the company, ignoring me, just obsessed with finding you. Lana kept drawing. What does that have to do with me? Of course it does, Vivian said, standing up. Because of you, he won't touch me. I'm carrying his child, and he won't even look at me. That's between you two. Lana, stop pretending, Vivian said, dropping her facade. You know Charles loves you. You ran away on purpose to make him chase you, to make him love you more, right? Lana looked up at her. Do you think I'd go to such lengths for a man who betrayed me? Then why did you leave? Why turn off your phone? Why not give him a chance to explain? Because there's no need, Lana said calmly. A man who can't even manage basic loyalty isn't worth my time. But he regrets it now. Does regret change anything? Lana put down her pen. Vivian, let me ask you, if time went back, would you still seduce Charles? Vivian nodded without hesitation. Yes. Then what's the point of his regret? Lana smiled. He doesn't regret the betrayal, but the consequences. He doesn't regret hurting me, but losing me. That kind of regret, I don't need. Vivian was speechless. Besides, Lana stood up, you're carrying his child. You should be focused on being a good mother, not coming to me. I came here for you. Vivian said urgently. If you don't go back, he won't marry me. Then don't marry, Lana said indifferently. No one's forcing you two together. Lana, you're so selfish. Vivian pointed at her. Do you know how much I've sacrificed to get Charles? Sacrificed? Lana found it laughable. You mean the effort of seducing a taken man? Or getting pregnant to force a marriage? I love him. Love him by ruining his relationship? Love him by making him betray his fiancé? Lana shook her head. Vivian, that's not love, it's possessiveness. Vivian's face and neck turned red with anger. Say what you want, but you have to go back. Why should I? Because Charles is dying. Vivian finally blurted out the truth. He hasn't eaten properly in a month, doesn't sleep at night, just sits by the window staring out, muttering your name. The doctor says he'll get depression if this continues. Lana's expression didn't change. That's good, it shows he still has a conscience. You. Vivian hadn't expected such coldness. If he dies, will you be happy? I won't be happy, but I won't be sad either, Lana said, looking out the window. Because that's the result of his own choices. Lana, how did you become so heartless? I'm not heartless, I've just woken up, Lana said, turning around. Vivian, for the last time, Charles and I are done. Love him well if you do, or let him go if you don't. Stop bothering me. I won't give up. Vivian gritted her teeth. Charles is mine. Then hold on to him well, Lana said, sitting back down to draw. I won't see you out. Vivian stormed off in a rage but turned back at the door. Lana, you'll regret this. Lana didn't look up. The only thing I regret is knowing you all. After Vivian left, Lana put down her pen, leaned back in her chair, and sighed deeply. She'd thought leaving that city would let her say goodbye to the past, but these people wouldn't let her go. Charles was tormenting himself, Vivian was pressuring her to return, and everyone seemed to think she should go back to save the relationship. But why? Why could the betrayer demand forgiveness so naturally? Why did the one hurt have to bear the burden of salvation? Lana couldn't understand. She only knew she never wanted to return to that suffocating place. That evening, back at her rented apartment, Lana found a large bouquet of white roses at the door. Frowning, she picked it up and saw a card inside. Lana, I was wrong, please forgive me. Charles. She threw the flowers straight into the trash. The next day, another bouquet. The day after, more flowers, this time pink carnations. For a whole week, different flowers appeared daily at her door. Lana kept none of them, tossing them all in the trash. The cleaning man couldn't stand it. Young lady, these flowers are so pretty, such a waste to throw them away. Take them if you want, sir, Lana said. No cost? Nope. From then on, the cleaning man came daily to collect the flowers, even praising Lana's kindness. She couldn't help but laugh. Charles's flowers ended up with the cleaner's wife. Besides flowers, Charles started texting dozens of messages a day, from morning till night. Lana, I miss you. Lana, I was wrong. Lana, come back, please. Lana, I can't live without you. Annoyed, Lana blocked him. After being blocked, Charles switched numbers to keep texting. Lana blocked one, and he'd use another, like a game of whack-a-mole. Finally, she changed her phone number. After a few quiet days, Charles found a new way to harass her email. Dozens of emails daily, all apologies and pleas to get her back. Lana set up a spam filter to auto-delete any email with Charles in it. This time, he stayed quiet for half a month. Lana thought he'd finally given up, but bigger trouble was ahead. That afternoon, while discussing a design with a client, the receptionist rushed in. Lana, someone's here for you. Who? Says he's your friend, drove up in a Porsche. Lana's heart sank. Could it be Charles himself? She went to the front desk and saw a familiar figure through the glass door. Not Charles, but his best friend Galen. Lana took a deep breath and stepped outside. Galen, why are you here? Galen's face lit up with relief when he saw her. Lana, I finally found you. What's this about? It's about Charles, Galen said, looking worn out. Lana, for the sake of our years of friendship, can you go see him? Why should I? He's going insane, Galen said urgently. Really, I've never seen him like this. He's lost 20 pounds in a month, his hair's turning gray, he's neglecting the company, just obsessed with finding you like a madman. Lana felt nothing. That's his choice. Lana, I know he wronged you, but... Galen, Lana cut him off. Do you think a man who betrayed me is worth going back to? He knows he was wrong. Does knowing he was wrong erase what happened? Lana countered. If your wife cheated and got pregnant with someone else, then said she was sorry, would you forgive her? Galen was speechless. And it's not just me he betrayed, Lana went on. There's the child in Vivian's womb. That child is innocent, and as a father, he should take responsibility, not waste time trying to win back an ex. But he doesn't love Vivian. That's his problem, Lana said coldly. If he chose to cheat, he has to face the consequences. He can't just enjoy it without thinking and then run from the fallout. Galen looked at this eerily calm woman, hardly believing it. Lana, don't you love him at all anymore? Lana was silent for a long time before saying, "Galen, do you know what chilled me the most?" "What?" "It's not that he cheated or betrayed me, it's that he did it with my cousin," Lana said, a flicker of pain in her eyes. "I introduced her to him myself, trusted them both, and they teamed up to deliver the most fatal betrayal." Galen's heart ached hearing it. "That kind of betrayal isn't something an apology can erase," Lana said, gazing into the distance. "So I won't go back ever." "Lana." "Galen, pass a message to Charles for me," Lana said, turning toward the office. "Tell him to take good care of Vivian and her child and stop bothering me if he has any conscience left." She walked inside without looking back. Galen stood there, staring at the closed glass door, knowing his mission had completely failed. He took out his phone and called Charles. "So? Did she agree to come back?" Charles's eager voice came through. Galen sighed. "Charles, give up. She's really not coming back." "What?" "She said to take good care of Vivian and the child and stop bothering her." A long silence followed, then the sound of something shattering. "Charles? Charles?" No response. The call had ended. Lana thought Galen's visit was the limit, but something crazier was yet to come. A week later, as she returned home from work, she saw a familiar black Mercedes parked at her complex's entrance. The car door opened, and Charles stepped out. Lana's first reaction was shock. Galen was right, Charles had lost a lot of weight, his once tall frame now frail. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, his face unshaven, a far cry from the polished man he used to be. "Lana," Charles said, his eyes lighting up with hope the moment he saw her. Lana ignored him and walked straight toward the complex. Charles hurried after her. "Lana, let's talk." "There's nothing to talk about," she said without turning. "I've broken up with Vivian," Charles said. Lana stopped and turned to him. "What did you say?" "I ended things with her. I'll take responsibility for the child, but I won't marry her," Charles said, his eyes full of hope. "Lana, can you forgive me now?" Lana stared at him in disbelief. "Charles, are you insane?" "I'm not insane, I'm clear-headed," Charles said passionately. "I know I love you, and I can't let one mistake ruin our lives." "What's that mistake called?" Lana asked coldly. "What?" "That mistake, it's Vivian, right?" Her tone grew icier. "She's carrying your child, and to you, she and the baby are both mistakes?" Charles was speechless. "Charles, you disgust me," Lana said, shaking her head. "You didn't think of the consequences when you cheated, or the responsibility when she got pregnant. Now, to win me back, you call her and the child mistakes?" "That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean?" Lana's voice rose. "What are you trying to say? That you're innocent? That you were seduced? Or that if I forgive you, you can just abandon them?" "Lana, I can give her money to get rid of the baby." "Shut up." Lana snapped. "Charles, are you even human? That's your own flesh and blood." "But I don't love her, I love you," Charles explained desperately. "I'd give up everything for you." "Everything? Including your humanity? Your conscience?" Lana was furious. "Charles, I see your true face now. You don't love me, you're just unwilling to lose me." "No, I really love you." "Love me?" Lana sneered. "If you loved me, would you cheat? Would you let me catch you on the eve of our engagement? Would you turn me into the city's laughingstock?" Charles was wounded by her words. "I know I was wrong, I'll make it up to you." "Make it up?" Lana found it absurd. "With what? Money? A house? Or that rotten heart of yours?" "Lana, please give me one more chance," Charles said, suddenly dropping to his knees. "I swear I'll never betray you again." Passers-by stopped to watch, pointing and whispering. Lana felt immense shame, not for herself, but for Charles. "Charles, get up," she said. "You forgive me?" Charles looked at her hopefully. "I won't forgive you ever," Lana said, her words like cold water dousing him. But I hope you have some dignity and stop humiliating yourself here. His face turned ashen. Lana, I really know I was wrong, he said, his voice breaking. I can't live without you. Then die, Lana said mercilessly. To me, you're already dead. She turned and left, leaving Charles kneeling alone. The crowd slowly dispersed, but Charles remained kneeling like a statue. The security guard couldn't bear it and approached. Young man, get up. Whatever it is, sort it out at home. Charles finally stood shakily and stumbled to his car. Sitting inside, he stared through the window at Lana's building, his eyes full of despair. Lana truly didn't want him anymore completely, irrevocably. Charles started the car and drove slowly out of the complex. He didn't know that Lana was standing at her window, watching him leave. Her heart ached, but she didn't regret it. Some mistakes, once made, can't be undone. Some wounds, once inflicted, can't heal. She and Charles were truly over. The next day, Lana got a call from Linda. Lana, Charles was in a car accident last night. The coffee cup nearly slipped from her hand. What? Is it serious? He hit a guardrail. Nothing serious, just a mild concussion, Linda said, her tone complicated. But the police say it was intentional. Intentional? Yes, surveillance shows he was speeding and crashed straight into the guardrail. No brake marks. Lana's chest tightened. He tried to kill himself? Probably, Linda sighed. Lana, I'm not trying to convince you to go back. I just think if he really died, you'd feel guilty. Lana was silent for a long time before saying, Linda, whether he lives or dies has nothing to do with me. Really? Really, Lana said firmly. His choices, his consequences. After hanging up, Lana couldn't calm down. Charles tried to kill himself? Because of her? No, not because of her, because of his own mistakes. If he hadn't cheated, hadn't betrayed her, how could things have come to this? But a life was at stake, and Lana couldn't help worrying. She picked up her phone to call Charles but hung up halfway through dialing. No, she couldn't soften. If she did, all her resolve would be for nothing. But if Charles really died? Lana shook her head, banishing the thought. That afternoon, Galen came again. Lana, have you heard? Heard what? Lana feigned ignorance. Charles was in an accident, Galen said, eyes full of worry. He's in the hospital now, muttering your name nonstop. That's good, it means he's still alive, Lana said, continuing her drawing. If he's alive, it proves he doesn't want to die that badly. Lana, how can you be so cold? Galen said, getting angry. You were together for 3 years, after all. 3 years of feelings, destroyed by him in one night, Lana said, putting down her pen and looking at Galen. Galen, how saintly do you think I should be? Forgive his cheating? His betrayal? Or him wanting me to accept his child with another woman? Galen was choked by her words. And what does his accident have to do with me? Lana went on. I didn't force him to die, he's the one who can't let go. But it's because of you that. Because of me what? Because I won't forgive him? Lana sneered. Galen, by your logic, every betrayed woman should forgive a jerk to stop him from losing it? Galen was silenced by her reasoning. For the last time, Lana stood up, Charles's life or death has nothing to do with me. If he wants to die, that's his choice, I won't stop him or feel guilty. If he wants to live, then live well, but leave me alone. Lana. No buts, Lana cut him off. Galen, I've made it clear, don't come looking for me again. Charles and I are done for good. Galen looked at this cold woman, barely recognizing her. The old Lana was gentle and kind, willing to give everything for Charles. Now, she was icy, indifferent to his fate. Had Charles's betrayal changed her, or was this who she'd always been? Galen didn't know, he only knew Charles had lost her for good. That evening, returning home from work, Lana found more flowers at her door, not roses this time, but white chrysanthemums. Her heart sank, she knew what chrysanthemums symbolized. She picked up the flowers and saw a card inside. Lana, if I died, would you shed a single tear for me? Charles. She tossed both the flowers and card into the trash. The next day, more chrysanthemums. The day after, again. For a whole week, white chrysanthemums arrived daily, each card filled with talk of death. Fed up, Lana called Linda. Linda, tell Charles to stop sending flowers, especially chrysanthemums. Why? Because I'm allergic to flowers for the dead, Lana said coldly. Linda was stunned. Lana, you. What? Did I say something wrong? Lana said impatiently. If he wants to die, he should just do it, not play dead for sympathy. I've seen people who truly want to die, and they don't drag it out like this. Lana, you've changed. Yes, I have, Lana said without hesitation. I've gotten smarter, no longer fooled by these tricks. After hanging up, Lana went on with her life, working, eating, sleeping as if Charles had never been part of it. But deep down, she knew she was avoiding it, avoiding the feelings that hadn't fully died, avoiding the heart that still ached for him. She armed herself with coldness, protected herself with resolve, ensuring no one could hurt her again, not even Charles. Even if he died, she wouldn't regret it. It was his choice. A month later, Vivian showed up again. This time, she looked haggard, her belly huge, walking with difficulty. Cousin, please, go see Charles, Vivian said, bursting into tears the moment they met. He's really dying. Lana didn't look up. What's that got to do with me? He doesn't eat or sleep anymore, just sits by the window staring out, Vivian sobbed. The doctor says he'll die if this goes on. Then let him die, Lana said without emotion. Cousin, I know I wronged you, but Charles is innocent, Vivian said. Lana finally looked up. Innocent? Yes, I seduced him, I forced him with the pregnancy, he's a victim of me, Vivian said, tears streaming down. If you want to hate someone, hate me, not him. Lana watched her performance, amused. Vivian, do you think I'm a 3-year-old? What? Charles is an adult with his own judgment, Lana said coldly. He chose to cheat, chose to betray, those were his decisions. You could seduce him, but whether to accept it was up to him. Vivian was speechless. And, Lana stood up, you're carrying his child now. You should be worried about taking care of yourself, not coming here to plead for him. But he doesn't want us, me or the child, Vivian cried harder. He told me to deal with the baby myself. Lana felt a wave of disgust. Charles had truly changed, becoming someone even she didn't recognize. The old Charles was a flirt, but never this cruel. Now, to win her back, he'd abandon his own flesh and blood. That's between you two, Lana said, sitting down. It has nothing to do with me. Cousin, please, Vivian suddenly knelt. I know I was wrong, I really do. Please forgive Charles and help him get back on his feet. You're kneeling to the wrong person, Lana said, looking at Vivian on the floor. You should be kneeling to the child in your womb, to the conscience you betrayed, to the family you destroyed. Cousin. Don't call me that, Lana interrupted. We're not blood relatives, just distant ones. And from the moment you seduced Charles, we've had no connection. Vivian cried harder. What about Charles? He can do whatever he wants, Lana said indifferently. Die if he wants, live if he wants, it's his freedom. Don't you love him at all anymore? Lana was silent for a long time before saying, Vivian, do you know what despair is? What? It's when you love someone with all your heart and find out they're betraying you, Lana said, a flicker of pain in her eyes. That feeling, it's like having your heart ripped out alive. Vivian felt a chill. I once loved Charles so much I'd have given up everything for him, Lana continued. But his betrayal killed the love in me. Now, all I feel for him is hatred and disgust. So stop begging me, she said, looking at Vivian. Dead love can't be revived. A dead heart won't beat again. Vivian was shaken by her words and stood trembling. This is my final warning, Lana said coldly. Don't bother me again, or I'll call the police. I understand, Vivian said, wiping her tears. Cousin, I'm sorry. Say those 3 words to the child in your womb, Lana said, sitting back down to draw. He's the most innocent one. Vivian cried again and stumbled away. Lana watched her leave, feeling no sympathy. She'd once been soft-hearted, considered forgiving, but Charles's repeated actions had killed her hope entirely. Now, she just wanted to live well, far from all that drama and resentment. As for whether Charles lived or died, it truly had nothing to do with her anymore. Lana thought Vivian's departure would finally bring peace. She didn't expect even bigger trouble waiting ahead. That noon, while Lana ate in the company cafeteria, a colleague rushed over. Lana, check the news. She took the phone and saw the headline, Construction Firm Boss Attempts Suicide Over Love, Ex-Girlfriend Refuses to Visit. Below was a photo of Charles in a hospital bed. Lana's hand trembled slightly as she read on. The article detailed Charles's suicide attempt and mentioned Lana's heartless behavior, implying she was a conscienceless woman who, out of revenge, didn't care about her ex's life or death. Lana, is this true? Colleagues gathered around, their eyes full of curiosity and scrutiny. Lana calmly handed back the phone. It's fake. So you really broke up? Yes. Why? Lana didn't want to explain and stood to leave the cafeteria. By afternoon, things escalated. More negative stories about Lana spread online, some even digging up her photos and company address. The comments were overwhelmingly against her. This woman's so vicious her ex is dying, and she won't even visit. Are women these days all so heartless? Poor Charles, such a good man, hurt by a woman like this. She should be cancelled online. Lana read the comments, anger rising inside her. Not a word about Charles's cheating or betrayal. She was painted as the ultimate villain. What infuriated her more was knowing this wasn't random, someone was orchestrating it. And who else could it be but Charles? As Lana pondered this, her phone rang a stranger's number. Is this Ms. Lana? I'm a reporter from Urban Evening News, wanting to interview you about Mr. Charles. Lana hung up immediately. More reporters called after that, and she hung up on them all. Finally, she turned off her phone. But the online abuse didn't stop. The next day, arriving at work, Lana found reporters swarming downstairs. Ms. Lana, what are your thoughts on Mr. Charles's condition? Ms. Lana, netizens call you a cold-blooded woman. How do you respond? Ms. Lana, are you really not going to visit Mr. Charles? Reporters mobbed her, and she barely squeezed into the elevator. At the office, her boss called her in. Lana, recent events are impacting the company significantly, he said gravely. Many clients are asking about this, worried it'll affect our partnerships. Lana's heart sank. Boss, are you asking me to quit? That's not what I mean, he sighed. But you have to understand the company's position. How about taking a few days off until this blows over? Lana knew this was a soft firing. I understand, she said, packing her things. Boss, it's been a pleasure working together. After leaving the company, Lana sat in a cafe, watching the growing tide of online hate, her mood hitting rock bottom. Charles's move was truly vicious. He'd weaponized public opinion, painting her as a heartless woman to face everyone's blame and curses. She'd either be forced to see him or be cancelled online and driven out of Beijing. Either way, Charles won. The more Lana thought, the angrier she got. She called Linda. Linda, pass a message to Charles for me. What message? If he doesn't stop this pathetic game, I'll release all the photos and videos of his cheating, Lana said. Linda gasped. You have that? Yes, Lana said coldly. A month before the engagement, I suspected something and hired a PI. The evidence is solid enough to ruin him. Lana, you. Tell him not to think he's the only one who can play dirty, Lana said, her tone menacing. Push me too far, and we all go down. Hanging up, she let out a long breath. She didn't want it to come to this, but Charles forced her hand. If he wouldn't play fair, neither would she. Sure enough, the next day, all the negative stories about Lana online vanished. Charles must have gotten her threat and didn't dare continue. But Lana still lost her job, and her reputation took a huge hit. She decided to leave Beijing for somewhere farther away. While packing, the doorbell rang. Thinking it was a delivery, she opened it to find Charles's mother. "Auntie?" Lana was surprised. Charles's mother looked exhausted, her eyes weary. "Lana, can I come in and sit?" Lana let her in and poured her a glass of water. "Auntie, why are you here?" "For Charles," his mother sighed. "Lana, I'm begging you go see him." Lana shook her head. "Auntie, he and I are over." "I know he wronged you," his mother said, gripping Lana's hand. "But he's really dying." "Auntie, don't be fooled," Lana said. "He's acting." "It's not an act," his mother said, tears in her eyes. "The doctor says he has severe depression. If he doesn't get treatment, he'll die." Lana's heart jolted. "Depression?" "Yes, and it's severe," his mother sobbed. "He doesn't speak, eat, or sleep anymore, just a walking corpse." Lana fell silent. She knew how serious depression was and that it couldn't be faked. "Lana, I'm not asking you to forgive him, just see him once," his mother choked out. "Even just a glance, so he knows you're alive, and well, maybe that'll pull him through." Lana's resolve wavered, not because she still loved Charles, but out of humanitarian concern. If he died because of her, her conscience would suffer. "Auntie, even if I see him, it won't change anything," Lana said. "We can't get back together." "I know, I'm not hoping for that," his mother said, wiping tears. "I just want my son to live." Lana looked at this mother, heartbroken for her son, and softened. "Okay, I'll see him once," she said. "But only once. After that, I'm gone, and I'll never see him again." Charles's mother was so moved she nearly knelt. "Thank you, Lana, thank you." Lana steadied her. "Auntie, don't do that. I'm only doing this for your sake." That afternoon, Lana returned to that familiar city with Charles's mother. 3 months away, and everything looked the same, but her mindset was entirely different. At the hospital, Charles's mother led her to the ward door. "Lana, prepare yourself," she said. "He looks frightening now." Lana took a deep breath and pushed open the door. The ward was quiet, Charles sitting by the window, staring blankly outside. She barely recognized him. His once robust body was now skin and bones, cheeks sunken, eye sockets dark like hollows. Most terrifying was his gaze, lifeless, like a dead man's. "Charles, look who's here," his mother said softly. Charles turned his head slowly, and a spark flickered in his eyes when he saw Lana. But it quickly faded. "You came," he said, his voice horribly hoarse. "To watch me die?" Lana felt a pang inside but stayed calm. "I just came to see you." "Seen enough?" Charles gave a bitter smile. "Are you satisfied with how I look now?" "Charles, don't say that," Lana said. "No one wanted this for you." "Including you?" Charles stared at her. "Didn't you say it'd be better if I died?" His words stung, but she couldn't show it. "I came to tell you something," she said. "What?" "I'm leaving this place, going far away, maybe never coming back," Lana said, looking at him. "So you don't need to wait for me anymore." Charles's face went pale instantly. "Where are you going?" "That doesn't matter," Lana said. "What matters is, I hope you'll live well." "Why?" Charles smiled bitterly. "Don't you hate me? Shouldn't you be happy if I died?" "Because you have a mother," Lana said, glancing at her. "She's worn herself out for you. If you die, what happens to her?" Charles looked at his mother, a flicker of guilt in his eyes. "And the child in Vivian's womb," Lana went on. "That's your flesh and blood, innocent. You can't shirk responsibility just because you're in pain." Charles lowered his head, silent. "Charles, listen," Lana stepped closer. "I'll never forgive you, never go back, never reconcile. But I don't want you to die. Live, atone, make amends to those you've hurt, that's what you should do." Charles looked up, his eyes full of complex emotions. "If you ever truly loved me, live well," Lana said finally. "Don't make me regret coming here today." With that, she turned and left the ward. Charles's mother followed her out. "Lana." "Auntie, take care of him," Lana said without turning. "This is the last time." A year later, Lana worked at a resort hotel in Hainan as the chief designer, overseeing its renovation. The job was busy but fulfilling, far from her past drama and grudges. That afternoon, while checking renovation progress in the hotel lobby, the receptionist rushed over. "Designer Lana, someone's here for you." Lana looked up and saw a woman holding a baby nearby Vivian. She frowned and walked over. "How did you find me here?" "Money finds anything," Vivian said, looking exhausted as the baby fussed in her arms. "Cousin, let's talk." Lana glanced around and led her to a quiet corner. "What's up?" "Charles got married," Vivian said bluntly. Lana paused. "To you?" "No," Vivian said with a bitter smile. "To someone else." Lana was surprised but quickly relaxed. "That's good." "Cousin, aren't you curious who?" "Not really," Lana said, genuinely unconcerned. "As long as it's not me." Vivian saw her calm face and felt unwilling. "At the wedding, he was muttering your name." Lana didn't react. "The bride asked if he loved her, and he said he didn't know," Vivian went on. "He said he's only loved one person in his life, but that person will never come back." Lana's expression stayed unchanged. "Cousin, don't you care at all anymore?" Vivian asked. "No," Lana replied firmly. "Who he marries has nothing to do with me." Vivian was quiet for a moment, then said, "I'm sorry." "What?" "I said I'm sorry," she said, tears in her eyes. "I ruined you too, it's my fault." "Does saying this now mean anything?" "I know it doesn't, but I have to say it," Vivian cried. "Cousin, I know I was wrong, I really do." "What about the child?" Lana looked at the baby in her arms. "Charles doesn't want you?" "He gave me money to leave," Vivian said, wiping tears. "He said he's getting married and doesn't want his new wife to know about us." Lana felt a wave of disgust. Charles was still so selfish, abandoning his own flesh and blood for his new life. "So what are you going to do?" "I don't know," Vivian said, lost. "I've thought of suicide, but the child's innocent." Lana looked at the baby, feeling a pang of pity. The child was adorable, sleeping peacefully, unaware of its complicated origins. "Vivian, listen to me," Lana said seriously. "Since you chose to have this child, you're responsible for him. Stop thinking about Charles, work hard, raise the kid well." "But how can I raise him alone?" "That's your problem," Lana said coolly. "Did you think of the consequences when you seduced Charles? Now it's hard?" Vivian had no response. "One last thing," Lana said, standing up. "In this world, no one's obligated to pay for your mistakes, not me, not Charles, not this child. You have to bear the consequences yourself." With that, she turned and left.